The NFL has come up with one of the juiciest possible games to open the season, a rematch of the NFC Championship game from last year, in which the Saints won in overtime against the Vikings to go to their first Super Bowl. Most people remember that game for how Brett Favre was battered by the Saints defense, a defense that's usually pretty weak, and also for how he threw an interception toward the end of the game when the Vikings were in position to perhaps win it and go to the Super Bowl with Favre for the first time. Well, Favre's back. The Saints are back with the same dynamic offense that they've had. This should be a shootout and a very entertaining game for a national TV audience. Two teams that have been talking smack going into this season are the Houston Texans and the New York Jets. And they both have really tough opening games. They're both at home, but they both could easily not only lose these games, but it could send them into a spiral for the season if they lose in disappointing and one-sided fashion. The Colts will be playing at Houston, and the Colts always beat the Texans. They've won 15 out of 16 meetings, often in pretty ugly fashion where the Texans just self-destructed. Well, that could happen again on Sunday because Peyton Manning has even more offensive weapons than he used to having. He has a dual backfield in Joseph Adai and Donald Brown, both of whom could be very effective in helping him set up the passing game against a somewhat weakened secondary for Houston. The Texans will have to score a lot of points to win this game because the Colts are going to score. As for the other game, that should be a defensive battle on Monday night at the New Meadowlands Stadium. And the Jets, who have already been talking Super Bowl, are playing a team that plays like it can go to the Super Bowl, in the Ravens. Look for Baltimore to also open up its attack through the air more so than it has in years because of a very deep roster of wide receivers led by Anquan Bolden and Joe Flacco, who in his third year could be a breakout quarterback. As for the Jets, well, they did have the best defense in the league last year. They've gotten back Darrelle Revis, who was a holdout until after the preseason ended. It will be interesting to see how Revis matches up against Bolden, particularly whether Revis can be healthy enough to play an entire game.